How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Flame, and we are back with another FPL live stream. Early o'clock in the morning, as I like to call it. And it's Double Game Week 27. We have the biggest Double Game Week in history, I think, in Double Game Week 26. Although there could be an even bigger one on the horizon potentially if they move the fixtures to allow people into the stands. For the last few game weeks of the season, but we'll that's further down the line. But yeah, it was a bit of a kind of damp squid, all things considered. But yeah, Double Game Week 27, Man City and Southampton, the only two teams playing twice. Not many people are looking at Southampton, and pretty much everyone's looking at Man City, so definitely looking at those assets there. And yeah, we're going to be taking a look at some attacking stats for teams, the normal XGI and output table as normal, and the goals minute table. And we'll be taking a look at potential transfers down the line and that sort of stuff. And we'll be answering your questions in the chat as per normal. And we'll kind of have one eye kind of on not Double Game Week 29, wish it was Double Game Week, blank Game Week 29, as there's only 4 games in there, and I was initially wanting to free hit in that, but might be able to save it going into that game week, so we'll take a look at that as well. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So Nobadinho says, so Game Week 29 is just around the corner. I have 6 players at the moment, both Saka and Holding were rotated last game week. Should I surrender that game week or try to fit Kane and Aubameyang in? So for me personally, I'll actually just bring up the transfer table. So the players that you want, we can take just a quick look at that. So you got the teams that you're probably going to want. You're probably going to want some couple players from Leeds. You're going to want a defender from Brighton, probably. You'll want double Spurs, and then probably after that, you're probably not looking at anything else. So basically, I would say like the bare minimum players for that week are these players here. Just gonna remove these. So if you're looking at Leeds players, I would say probably, Rafinha, Bamford. I'll just put, Burn in there. And honestly, that's probably it in terms of mandatory players. I would say as long as you have this as a coverage, that's pretty much it, to be honest. Like, Kane and Son are going to be the 2 most owned. Maybe the most captained, potentially. Bamford and Rafinha are going to be, pretty comfortable picks. Rafinha especially. And then a Brighton defender. That's probably going to be the most common things. And then it's just a matter of, do you want the Leeds goalkeeper? Do you want the Fulham goalkeeper? Do you want the Newcastle goalkeeper? What do you want from Arsenal? What do you want from West Ham? What do you want from Aston Villa? Like, because unless you're an Aston Villa fan, you want the game week to where you can captain Kane and just have Kane blast Aston Villa, in which case you wouldn't want Emi Martinez or any defenders. Maybe if Grealish is back, you want Grealish. Maybe you want Watkins. But they're not necessarily, like, super necessary. From West Ham, maybe you want Antonio, maybe you want Lingard. But again, these are all going to be players that are kind of luxury in a sense. Maybe Leeds, you go an extra player, you go Dallas or something. And then after that, it's kind of super thin picking, to be honest. But I would say the bare minimum, if you have them, would be like these 4 and then a Brighton defender. If you have those 5, you should have it. That should be the majority of your points, most likely. But for all we know, this could be a game week where, Leeds Fulham end up at 1-1. Let's say like Harrison scores with like a click assist or something, and then Fulham has like Loftus-Cheek scores with like a Anguissa assist. and there's no clean sheets, so none of the main players score there. Let's say Newcastle get John Joe Shelby scores, and then for Brighton you have like, I don't know, maybe Danny Welbeck or someone like that potentially scores or something. Again, that's not really something that you want. West Ham versus Arsenal, two teams that are very good defensively, but do you really want to bring in Aubameyang? If it's for like a couple of weeks, then sure, but I don't really like it too much. And then Aston Villa versus Spurs, that's the one you kind of want it to be a shootout. Yeah, not sure that that's going to be the case, especially if Matty Cash and Jack Grealish are back. So, yeah, I would say probably 8 players at probably is probably like a good, comfortable number. Like I could potentially have 10. So at the moment I have Martinez and Areola. So I have 2 goalkeepers there. Obviously they're not the best goalkeepers, but they are goalkeepers. I have Target makes 2, Lookman makes 3, Son makes 4, Kane makes 5, Watkins makes 6, and Aina makes 7. But obviously I have no Leeds players. And both my goalkeepers aren't. It's like, do I want Martinez versus Spurs or do I want Areola versus Leeds? You know, it's not really the greatest option. But yeah, overall, I think it's not going to be that good of a game week to free hit. I think, like I said, you could be, as long as you have Kane, Son, Rafinha, plus another Leeds asset, and a Brighton defender. That's pretty much the majority of your points there. Iwa says Capcello. Yeah, I just put it on him for fun. Not necessarily gonna be captaining him, although I might. But we'll see. Good morning, Mono. How's it going? Modric could easily score a brace against Leeds, right? Yeah, I mean Leeds' defense is terrible, so you know they're not good at all. Defensively, we want them because Rafinha is attacking, Bamford's attacking, Dallas is attacking. You know, but again, that's still a couple weeks away, so by then there could be more injuries or something. Like Leeds don't look as functional with Click in terms of not Click. What's his name? Half the team has a man bun. Calvin Phillips, that's the one. They don't look as functional with him, and we're not I think he's supposed to kind of be back soon, but still not 100% on that. Dallas also, yeah, I mean Dallas. If Dallas is playing like center midfield and he's making those runs, then yeah, Dallas is going to be great. But Fulham have been looking better and better and better, so it's going to be interesting. They gave Spurs a run for their money last time they played, so we'll have to see. And I think things could develop, like, you know, like Spurs could have, you know, defensive injuries, and Grealish could come back, and then you're probably thinking, well, maybe Aston Villa keep a clean sheet in this game. Do I really want Son and Kane? I mean, you probably wouldn't go without them, but you know, maybe you bring in you know, Aston Villa defender just because. Like I have Target, but you know, then you're kind of hoping for attacking return and that sort of stuff, and it's kind of weird. I think it would have been a lot better if like Kane and Son were playing Fulham, and we didn't obviously know the result of the game when they played and they only won 1-0. And Aston Villa was playing, let's say, Leeds or something. That'd be a lot better, but it is what it is. Who'd you play Digne? Would you play Digne over Burn? What, this week? Let's see. Digne over Burn. Yeah, I would. I'd play Digne over Burn. I think Leicester score versus Brighton, probably. Even though their attack isn't great, but Digne is Digne, right? He can always whip in a set piece. He can, he can always, you know, create something out of nothing. Send Richarlison and Chelsea get caught napping early on, and then, you know, gets an assist, and then they may go on and concede 2 and lose the game, but he could potentially get something. And Digne and Richarlison played on that side, so which has been rotated a little bit. Hudson-Odoi has obviously been somebody who's been playing there for the most part, but Reece James came in last game, so maybe Tuchel has concerns down that side. But yeah, Richarlison's been in good form, so you would think that Digne could potentially get one in for him, and you know Digne might play. He might play left mid, so who knows? I would play Digne over Burn though. I just don't see Brighton keeping a clean sheet basically. I got 3 City defenders hoping for 2 clean sheets in them game weeks. I mean, if there is a game week to do it, it's probably this one. All things considered, because every time Man United plays somebody, it's pretty much no. And I would expect that they're going there with the same mentality this time. You know, away to City, you don't want to get battered, because that's the last thing you need. Probably keep it tight and see if they can nick something. But ultimately, I think this game's either 0-0 or like a small winning margin for City. I don't see it anything else. So, yeah, and Man United and Southampton are struggling to score at the moment. They are struggling to score at the moment. So, we shall see. Not sure to captain Cancelo or Diaz. If I was going to captain a defender and I could like transfer any Man City defender in, it would be Diaz, 100%. If I was captaining the defender, I would say Diaz. Ooh, excuse me. But that's just mainly due to the fact that I know that Diaz is going to play probably both games. So, like, it's almost guaranteed he's going to play both games. It's like Ederson, you know, he's like the safer pick. Like, should Cancelo play both games versus Man United and Southampton? Yeah, he probably should. But will he? No, not necessarily. But the logic would be for the Man City assets, because Southampton are still a dangerous team. Like if you don't, like if you slip up, they can hurt you on their day. They can, because they have a very high press, very intense press, which they can easily get the ball off you and then nick one. You know, it is definitely possible. So I think Pep will be potentially wary of that. So he could probably play his best 11 versus United, close to his best 11 versus Southampton, maybe 1 or 2 changes. Then kind of rest and rotate a little bit for Fulham, or at least he could. And then he's got Champions League, so. I think Cancelo will play against Southampton because they're so defensive. Well, I wouldn't say Southampton are defensive. They definitely attack quite a lot and they press quite high. It's just that haven't been able to get that balance right. When Romeo's out of the team, Walker Peters is out of the team, they just don't have that attacking balance down the flanks right. And the center of the park is weak and their center backs get exposed. Because they're not the quickest. You need somebody basically putting in challenges and stopping, breaking up play. And they don't have that when Romeo's not on the team, or at least it doesn't seem like they do. So it's not necessarily the fact that they're not defensive. It's just the fact that they haven't been able to translate that breaking up of play into quick transitions into attempts on goal. Pope, Kufal, Stones, Cancelo, Gundogan, Captain, Rafinha, Bruno, Son, Kane, Bamford, DCL, Bench, McCarthy, Rashford, Ben Mee, and Dallas. Yep, that team looks perfectly fine to me. Would I make any changes to that? Probably not. I don't think I would. But you're definitely playing Pope. I think your only argument would potentially be Ben Mee over Kufal, although Kufal can get something, or Sufal could potentially get something versus like a clean sheet versus Arsenal, but it's a bit of nitpicking. Obviously, benching Rashford doesn't feel good. But yeah. I think if there's anyone that's going to potentially get something versus City, though, it might be Rashford. But again, I don't think United are getting much versus City. But will he really? Both Ake and Laporte are back now. See, the thing is, I think he sees Ake as not only a potential center back, as like a backup, but more importantly, another left back. Because Ake can play left back, and he's been kind of playing Laporte there, but I don't think he wants to play Laporte there. I think he wants to say, okay, my three main center backs is, my main partnership is Stones and Diaz, and then I have Laporte there if I want a left footer or something. And Ake is also left footed as well. So if I need to give somebody a break, I'll put Laporte in there. Yeah, they have Mendy and Zinchenko at left back, but the thing is, Mendy is just always injured, and I don't think Pep really wants him. I think they're trying to get rid of him. Zinchenko, he probably thinks is okay, but I think he thinks that if he just needs somebody that's a little bit better defensively, I think Ake is who he's going to put there. And I think he would actually probably prefer Ake to play at left back than he would Zinchenko. Because there was points earlier on in the season where I remember at least one game where Ake was subbed on basically ahead of Zinchenko and was put at left back, like over Zinchenko, over Mendy, when they were available. So, but I don't know. We'll have to see. Who knows? He may come out and play Laporte and Ake today, or tomorrow rather, in the Manchester derby. Who knows? Highly unlikely, but it's possible. With Pep, you never know. I'm convinced he just spins a wheel, throws a bunch of darts at the board, whoever it hits that player is playing. Personally. But yeah, I think that's what he thinks. He likes to have a left footer in the team. I think he's just been playing Cancelo at left back at times when he needs to play Walker. So like against Man United, he'll do that probably. Like, I'm pretty sure I can guess what Pep's team's mostly going to be. Versus United, he's going to play Ederson obviously in goal, Walker at right back to deal with Rashford's pace on the left. He'll play Stones and Cancelo because that's his best center back partnership. He'll play Cancelo at left back because he's his best fullback. He'll play Rodri, Gundogan, De Bruyne because that's his best midfield. And then his best front three is going to be Sterling +2. Who that +2 is, I have no clue. If I had to say on form, I would say Sterling, Bernardo Silva, and Mahrez. But Foden is pretty good in the big game, so we'll have to see. Should I take a -4 on Rashford out for another mid, or should I take out me for a defender so I can drop Kufal this week and get rid of one of my keepers for another? I don't think that's really worth it. I mean, taking -4 for defenders is like saying I need to guarantee that I get a clean sheet and that the other player isn't getting one, which is kind of tough to kind of pick out. So I wouldn't say it's worth it. I think Kufal's fine. You're going to, like, yeah, Rashford has Man City, but then he has West Ham at home. Then he has a blank. Okay, whatever. And then Brighton at home. So it's not terrible. But, you know, the double up isn't great. And Man United's fixtures for the rest of the season is going to be a bit spotty, but um, after the blank, you got Brighton, Burnley, Leeds. Those four, and then you obviously Spurs mixed in there. Those aren't too bad. And then maybe have Rashford for the last 3 of the season. I don't know. It's a bit tricky. United's kind of a really hard team to kind of predict, and I'm a fan of them. So, and if fans of them are kind of confused, it's like, what's going on here? Like, we know exactly what the lineup's going to be. I could tell you what United's lineup's going to be. It's super easy to predict. It's literally going to be that exact same team that played the other day, minus De Gea, because De Gea has to he's gonna have to quarantine because he went to Spain to be there for the birth of his first child. So he has to quarantine. So it's gonna be Dean Henderson in goal, Shaw at left back, Wan-Bissaka right back, Megaloff as their kind of coined, which is Maguire and Lindelof, McFred, so McTominay and Fred, Bruno in the number 10 role, Greenwood. Well, in this game, it's probably going to be Dan James off the right, Rashford off the left, and then Cavani through the middle. That's what it's going to be. It ain't rocket science with United. It's just a matter of how well United's going to play. How's it going, Zodiac? I think the rotation will be against Southampton more likely. Yeah, I mean, that's possible. I think probably a player that's a good punt for the next 2. If you're like, you want to take out like Fernandez or Salah for somebody for this game, it could be Sterling, because Sterling typically plays in the big games, and against Southampton he's played for City the last 8 times they've played against Southampton. So I guess Pep likes him versus Southampton. Maybe he gets then rotated for Fulham, but who knows. I think Zinchenko and Cancelo will start versus United. I think Walker will start because speed. They want the pace to stop him behind. I think Walker will play, but I could be wrong. I think his best back 4 is Zinchenko left, Cancelo right, because Cancelo is definitely better at right back, but probably needs a little bit of the speed. Also, United's weakness is kind of switching, is kind of getting switched on a flank. So Walker's actually pretty good at pinging a ball from one side to the other or switching the play. So I can easily see a situation where Walker takes up the position, gives it to Mahrez, who then switches the play out wide to Sterling. Sterling kind of takes Wan-Bissaka to the byline, cuts it back, and like forces him to commit, and Gundogan's on the penalty spot to slam it in the back of the net. Like, I can see that happening. But we'll see. Walker's well because of speed. Yep. Gareth Bale, I think it's a bit too early still, because Gareth Bale could easily sit out this game, or at least only get reduced minutes. But with Europa League coming back soon, it's a bit tricky. I think Kane and Son, you benefit from having Kane and Son in your team now when Bale does play, because Bale, the likes of Bale, Dele Alli, Lucas Moura, Lamela, and Ndombele, these players all are getting hooked before Kane and Son, always. So I think Kane and Son double up is fine. If anything, I would potentially, fixture-wise, Crystal Palace, Arsenal could be clean sheets maybe. Newcastle, Sheffield United, Wolves, Southampton. There's some fixtures in there for some potential clean sheets. So if you don't have a goalkeeper at the moment, I would say Lloris could be someone in there. He's going to play every game, and could get you some clean sheets. So. Is captaining Ederson a good shout? Yeah, I mean, Ederson and Diaz are still perfectly good shouts this week. I mean, if you look on, you think 2 teams that are struggling to score. Yes, City have been leaking a little bit of goals recently, but nothing to be overly concerned about. Yeah, Diaz and Ederson are kind of the not flashy picks, but they could be the functional picks for the captaincy option. You'll say, I'll take my 6 points versus United. I'll take my 6 points versus Southampton. 12 points, 24 across 2 games for a captain. Not too shabby. It's basically like a striker scoring a goal in both games but not getting bonus. Seems good to me. United's offense looks bad at the moment. City's outstanding. West Ham is very good form and has a blank. Brighton's second best defense at the moment. And Tottenham, the Mike Park, the bus. Yeah, I mean, all of those are definitely valid points. United's, it just makes sense. Like, double City defense is potentially the best this week, but not in the fact that Cancelo or Stones. It would be like Diaz and Ederson. Like, if I could have my team change for this week, like if I could pick a wild card team for this week, like a free wild card, the 3 City players I would have would be Ederson, Diaz, and Gundogan. I think Gundogan definitely plays both games for sure. Like, if you're going for safe picks, I think Diaz plays both games, and I think Ederson obviously plays both games. So that's, you know, and then you could captain Diaz easily in that, no problem. Obviously, there still is, like, even though Gundogan got rested the last game, there still is a chance that Pep could just not play him versus Southampton. Yeah, Pep's trying to guess Pep is a bit wonky. Lindelof didn't play last week. Yeah, Lindelof basically plays like kind of every other game, sort of, kind of. Yeah, Bailly did. I hope Bailly plays tomorrow, but I don't see it happening. As much as fans would like to see Bailly play, because I think he provides us more in terms of when we are able to retain the ball, then we can actually put a little bit higher of a line, which is obviously risky versus Man City, but allows us to actually, you know, be a little bit more comfortable in possession, in my opinion, and able to kind of take it to them a little bit. Tottenham will go all in on Europa League, same with Arsenal. They know top 4 is just not going to happen. Yeah, I mean, that's possible, but I mean, if teams keep on slipping, Spurs win versus Palace, they beat Arsenal, maybe they beat Aston Villa, and they're probably going to beat Newcastle. Maybe they get a point versus United. Then you're probably thinking, yeah, hey, could potentially get something here. Yeah. Is it risky playing Kufal, Dallas, Rafinha, and Bamford? No. I mean, they play against each other. Ideally, you would like... Excuse me. Ideally, you would like, obviously to have, one team in unless it's attackers going against each other. So, like, obviously having Rafinha, Bamford, and Dallas, you're going to want Rafinha and Bamford and Dallas to get attacking returns against Kufal. So, if you can bench Kufal, I would, and you would just go in that, unless you're a West Ham fan. And you want to support your team. But yeah, typically you just want to have like one team in it. So, like, let's say hypothetically I had like I'm a Man United fan and I have all 3 City players on my team because I don't expect us to score versus City because the defense is so good, which is why I have Shaw on the bench. And I expect City to score. But also I think Target and Pereira are more likely to keep a clean sheet than Shaw is to keep a clean sheet or get an attacking return. So the bad thing is United, when they play against the top teams, they stop playing football and just ruin the game. I mean, they don't necessarily ruin the game. They try to they try to hamper the enemy team's weakness. Now, Solskjaer came out at his press conference to say, well, last season we were just playing counter-attacking football. Now we're playing high press. We're taking it to the enemy team. And that's kind of right. If you look at the stats, United are definitely conceding and leaking more goals than what they have been, and that's because we are trying to play the high line. The problem is the personnel. So Lindelof and Maguire are probably about as fast as me, and I did the 100 meters in probably around 35 seconds. And that's probably a little bit of an exaggeration. I could probably do 100 meters in probably less than that, but they're not quick. So playing a high line is quite dangerous. You have to be intelligent. And being able to cut the ball out. So that's kind of why United have been leaking goals. The easy way to fix that is have a fast center back that does the coverage. So you just play Bailly. Problem is Bailly's potentially always injured. So that's kind of the dilemma that they have to address, I would say, in the transfer window. Sort the colors. I don't know what that means, but he's talking about the the team. Oh, in terms of like it's a bit wonky, but these are the players that I'm gonna play. I mean, I guess I could put Barnes in for Lookman and put Lookman for a sub to make it a little bit more, uniform. I have to play the City players like this because they're a nice little triangle in the middle. If I could play Target here, I would. And I don't want to play Aina over Target, so like the only thing I could do is Barnes and Lookman to make it a little bit better. But I like my players on the pitch playing, not this whole like, I know 3 players aren't going to play, so I'm going to put them on the bench. Bailly versus Mahrez, Sterling, Jesus will end in a penalty. That's the thing. Bailly on his day is a very, very accomplished defender. He's very, very good. The problem is that he does make a boneheaded mistake, so he can give away a penalty. But Sterling won't have, Bailly won't have to worry about Sterling, because Sterling won't get past Wan-Bissaka, most likely. Well, hopefully. That's been the trend. What City should do is they should start Foden out on the left and put Sterling out on the right, because Foden will probably cause Wan-Bissaka a lot of problems, because Foden is a extremely tricky player to deal with. Would I play DCL or Rashford? I'd play DCL personally. But yeah. If I was to bench Kufal, it would be for Lowton or Wan-Bissaka. Probably Lowton. Lowton was quite attacking, actually. In the last, couple of games. But yeah. Hi, Victor. How's it going? Why Cancelo captain or Canelo captain? Bit of a spelling error. I have him on there because I'm still considering it. I don't know yet. It's going to be a City player for sure. Most likely Gundogan, but you never know. Cancelo, if he gets 2 clean sheets, that's 24 points captain. So, looks good. City hasn't played that well the last couple of matches. I think a 0-0 is a realistic result, and therefore I would play Shaw. Yeah, I mean, that's possible, but I think City at home is a different prospect than City away. And I think City have more likely chance of scoring. Either I want United to win in a shootout where De Bruyne and Gundogan get me points, but United ultimately still win, which I don't see happening. Or City win and they keep a clean sheet, which is probably more likely. Or then, like you said, a 0-0. But then, am I really going to ask Shaw to keep a clean sheet versus City over, Pereira versus Brighton, who, let's be honest, Brighton can't even score penalties. So I think Pereira might be in for a clean sheet. And then targets versus Wolves, who just don't score for the most part. So yeah. Since you love football and FPL a lot, do you play Football Manager? No, I haven't actually played Football Manager. Like I've seen like basically how it works and that sort of stuff, and maybe that's what we do over when FPL is finished for the season, and I play, and that'll be like the streams. I'll play that, that or FIFA or something. If I could actually get a PlayStation 5, because that seems to be basically impossible at the moment. But yeah, I'll definitely look to do something like that over the summer. One thing that I'm also looking at doing is basically updating the graphics for next season too. So that kind of takes a little bit of time. Because I have to basically kind of conceptualize what I want to do and then change some things around, and then because I had to do all the graphic work myself basically. So, but yeah, we'll see. We'll look into it. Always Captain Aguero. Aguero is not a bad captaincy option if he starts both games, that's for sure. I reckon it'll be a scrappy 1-0 City win. Yeah, City will probably have a lot of the ball. They'll probably nick a goal. They'll probably sit on the laurels. United will try to probably, they'll probably try to do whatever they can to see if they can nick something on the break. But ultimately, City will probably just suffocate United if they score early. Wolves have scored in their last 4 and look pretty okay at the moment. But the problem is with Wolves is the way they score goals isn't like convincing. I know that seems a bit weird, but they don't look like super uber convincing when they're trying to score. It's just a weird thing, and I think Emi Martinez is a good enough goalkeeper where he could prevent some of those. And we'll see. We'll definitely see. Played Championship Manager, says Football Manager, 27 years, since I was 8 years old. Has the game actually been out that long? Interesting. Mind you, João Pedro Keva, is that his full name actually? Cancelo's? Turns out it is. Play against Southampton, it could be massive in terms of big points. Yeah, it could be. But so could Gundogan or De Bruyne, right? Or Sterling or any attacker. Not sure if I should captain Gundogan, Sterling, or Cancelo. Differential pick, I would say Sterling. I like him over these two because I think he'll play both of them. But Gundogan's the kind of turn your brain off, don't have to think kind of captain this week. To be fair, Brentford have kept 2 clean sheets in their last 2 games versus Arsenal. Yeah, seems good to me. And Arsenal don't score very many anyway, so. And Arsenal aren't very good on set pieces or crosses, as we saw when Sterling, of all people, scored a header versus them when City played them. But, yeah. All right, let's take a look at, let's see who's on the goals imminent table here. So let's move this across a little bit. Let's see if I can make it a little bit better. There we go. We should be able to see that. So yeah, this is the goals imminent table. So this is on the Fantasy Football Scout members area. So if you haven't done so, check out the Fantasy Football Scout members area. It's great. I think it's £20 for the whole year, and they usually have a discount at the beginning in like the preseason, which you get like £2.50 off. £20 for the whole year is great. You have all these Opta stats. You have season ticker, you have rate my teams, you have different comparison tables that you can create, like this one, which is basically who's potentially on the potential list to score next. So yeah, it's great tool. I use it quite a lot. I believe there's heat maps in here somewhere too. So yeah, fantastic tool. Make sure you go check it out. But yeah, on the goals imminent table, we got Roberto Firmino, Diagne, who I'm surprised hasn't scored in double. Kane could have definitely had more. Trossard, Mateus Pereira, Mopé, Traore, McGoldrick, Jesse Lingard for those interested, and Rafinha is on there. Yeah, basically this is a table who looks at who's someone who's due to score a goal or more, with minimum 10 goal attempts and only 1 goal over the last 4 matches. So Kane has got 3 missed big chances, 16 goal attempts, and only 1 goal in that time. So he's definitely due another one at least. So maybe a good captaincy shout versus Palace, if you're not going for a City player. In terms of teams attacking stats, let me see if I can rearrange this one on the screen a little bit here. So if we look at expected goals, I mean, Brighton's expected goals is 8.21, absolutely massive, but they've only scored twice, which is insane. And then you look at the likes of City, their XG is 6.61, and they scored 10. The most clinical by far in the league. West Ham, 6.02, 6 goals, pretty efficient. Chelsea have got an extra 1.5 expected goals, but they've only scored 4. Spurs have been slightly more clinical. Everton have been kind of on point, and everyone else is kind of underperforming their XG. So City, you have like City's way exceeding it. West Ham's about on par. Spurs are slightly exceeding it. Arsenal is exceeding it slightly, and then everyone else is kind of in and around it. But the craziest thing is the number of big chances. Liverpool have had the most big chances, but they've only scored 3 goals. So definitely underperforming there. So if you think about getting rid of Salah or haven't done so already, his underlying stats show that they should be doing well. They just haven't been. So bit tough there. Do you think there will be Everton Villa double game week next week? Well, the thing is, I think we'll only know if they're going to do something. They might do it after the deadline for this week. But yeah, I don't think that they're going to announce it now, because they would have announced it when they did the at the same time that they said, oh yeah, in 29 Villa are going to play Spurs. So there's no rush to kind of get to put it in, because Everton and Villa aren't in Europe, so they can pretty much do it whenever they feel like it. Benny gives Everton Villa a 10% chance. Yeah, I think that's what he said. He said that's rough, but yeah, it's a very low percentage chance. Who should I have first sub? Of Fernandez and Souček. I think you should play Fernandez personally. But Souček, I guess. More likely to be a double game and get 30? Yeah, that's probably more likely. Who's the best differential in Game Week 29, you think? Bale, Odegaard, Mopé, Antonio? I'll probably say someone from Arsenal. Maybe Odegaard. Maybe Aubameyang. Possibly. Is having 9 players for Game Week 29 enough? Oh yeah, probably. I'd probably say 8 is probably like the kind of minimum if you can. But like I said earlier in the show, 5 is what you're definitely looking for. You want Kane, you want Son, you want a Brighton defender, you want Rafinha, and then you probably want another Leeds asset. And then after that, it's whatever you want to choose. Ultimately. Antonio's in amazing form lately. Yeah, he is definitely so. So this is our XGI and attacking output table. So this is sorted by expected goal involvement. So if we look here, Kane is the most likely to have been involved in goals or assists over the last 4 matches. And if we look at De Bruyne is way down the bottom. Gundogan's numbers have dropped off a bit. like I said, Salah's still definitely up there. You know, Fernandez is definitely up there as well. But yeah, Kane's getting the higher volume of shots, so you think Kane would be the most likely captain. But again, you know, City have a double, so I think if you're not captaining a City player, then Kane is probably your best bet, all things considered. I'll probably transfer 2 or 3 Chelsea players in for game week 30 and on instead of focusing on game week 29. Yeah, I mean, you know, Chelsea do have a pretty good run of form. I think it's from 28 onwards, 29 onwards. 28 onwards, sorry. Antonio Wilson is one of the few attackers on low teams that can score against everyone. Yeah, that's true. I would probably say Bamford's probably the other one, because Leeds can technically score against anyone because the amount of times they create chances. Or even this game week, Chelsea has an amazing run of fixtures. Yeah, I mean, some people are getting Chelsea assets in now. I'm still confused how Kane didn't come away with more than 8 points in the double game week. I am too. I am very confused. Very, very confused as to how Kane did not come away with more points. Very, very confusing. But yeah, so the players that I'm looking potentially like to, so you know, I have 2 Fulham players, so maybe I back Fulham versus Leeds, but I don't really like, you know, I'm gonna play Aina regardless versus Leeds, but obviously, you know, if Leicester continue to disappoint, you know, I want to at least give them these 2. So I'll have 3 fixtures or 3 free transfers. So if I roll this week, I have, you know, 1 next week, 1 of 4 game week 29. So if Leicester don't do well, I would take out Vardy, I would take out Barnes, and I would take out Pereira, and then I could just basically, if I wanted to, just bring in 3 Leeds players like that, and just go heavy there. You know, they have Chelsea, which isn't great, but is what it is. Beforehand, and in 28, you know, if I brought in Lingard as an example, he wouldn't play against United, so that's also an issue. But probably the more realistic thing is probably going to be something like this: Dan Burn, Rafinha, and Bamford. And then what I can do in 30, because Man United have Brighton, I can just get rid of Lookman, and I can bring in Fernandez, because Rafinha has Sheffield United. But obviously the issue that I would run into is I would have City, who have a not as good of a fixture in 30 versus Leicester, but I'd be more inclined to play them. Son has Newcastle, so I can't not play him. Same with Kane. And Watkins has Fulham, so I'm going to have a pretty tricky benching headache basically that week. So if I were to do that, so, and I kind of, you know, I want Rafinha versus Sheffield United because it makes the most sense. Another thing I could do is, instead of Lookman to get rid of, you know, maybe I get rid of Gundogan that week, save me from that benching headache, put Fernandez in, run with the 2 City players for 30, and then bring Gundogan back in for 31 over the likes of Rafinha. Save me a headache there, basically. But Yeah, that's kind of the plan at the moment for that. Think about bringing in a Chelsea and Wolves defender with their upcoming games being good. Yep, I mean that's seems to be quite a good idea. Wolves maybe not so much, but I mean they have good fixtures coming up. Who do they have? They got Liverpool, which isn't great. West Ham, not bad. Fulham's not bad. Sheffield United's not bad. Burnley, yeah. Up until 36, it's pretty good, and then they have Spurs, Everton, and United, I believe. Yeah. To end the season. So, yeah, for that run, probably not too bad. But it's just a matter of which defender. That's the only issue. Any news on Lab T? Will he be back in time for Gameweek 29? Well, I think he had a setback, so maybe not now. But he was scheduled to be back. But maybe not anymore. Aspilicueta or Rudiger? Probably Rudiger just because he's cheaper. Just like Ben said. I would say. I would say Rudiger because he's cheaper. So yeah. I think I'm definitely rolling a transfer this week. Now, who to captain this week? Obviously, Gundogan makes the most sense. All things considered. Like, if I had Diaz instead of Cancelo, which in hindsight looks way better. Looks way, way better. Then I would go for it. But is Gundogan likely to get a rest versus Southampton? Maybe, maybe not. I just don't see City not keeping 2 clean sheets in a row. Which is why I want to captain Cancelo, but it's the risk factor of, is he going to get that Southampton game? So, that's kind of the issue. I have Diaz, Vice, Cancelo, and Sterling captain. Yeah, I think Sterling plays both games. It's not necessarily predicting who's going to play versus Man United. That's pretty much mostly nailed on, like we said. You know, Cancelo will play, Diaz, Stones will play, Ederson will play, Gundogan will play, De Bruyne will play, Roger will play. And then Sterling will play, and then it's just who's the left or right back that isn't Cancelo, and who's the false 9 / other player there, and who's the other attacker. Capcello. I really want to do it, to be honest. Should I start Saka for DCL? Yeah, I probably would. I'd start Saka over DCL. I captain Gundogan, but if I had KDB, I would captain him. Yet he might not play both games, we don't know, but actually I think he can get more points in one game compared to Gundogan's. And KDB might play both since he's back to full strength now. KDB is a differential. And what you need on an overall 800k overall rank. Sorry for the long message. No worries, but yeah. I mean, yeah, it makes sense. I think I should definitely be considering these captaincy choices, but like I'm not. Like I got away with a lot in the double game week. I got away with Salah blanking twice and Fernandes blanking twice. Can I get away with that again? That is it possible? Like, if I captain Gundogan, am I gonna really get a green arrow? Obviously goes nuts, and I'll still have him, but yeah, I think I definitely need to pick one of them. Do you need a safe pick on rank 800k? No. realistically, no. You need to go with a differential pick so you can boost yourself up faster. And obviously De Bruyne being the safe, being the not safe pick. The thing is this week the week to, is this the week to, go with the not safe pick, Because the thing is, if I captain Gundogan, I have De Bruyne obviously as a differential at the moment, then I still get, a bit of a boost from it. Kane's not going to score 5 goals for the rest of the season. If Kane scored 5 goals, I'd be over the moon. Because I don't think Kane's going to be heavily captained, because it's going to be a lot of City assets. But no, Kane will score 5 goals for the rest of the season, for sure. What's he even on right now? 14 and 11. I think Kane, if he stays fit, will probably end on 20 goals, 15 assists, probably. If I had to guess. Somewhere around that. And remember, a lot of the goals come towards the end of the season as well. Because players are going for, like, golden boot and whatnot. Because that matters quite a lot to them. Close to 3 minutes left. In the old a deadline. We're getting close. I reckon it'll be 1-0 City against United, and it's 3-0 versus Southampton. Yeah, I could definitely see that. And if I do see that, then I can definitely see Cancelo being very good. It's just a matter of, does Cancelo play versus Southampton? We can definitely probably bet that he's going to play versus United because he's one of Pep's best players. And he should play that game. But yeah. Like, that would be the only thing that I would need to know. It's like, if I knew Cancelo was playing both, it would be like, and De Bruyne was playing both, it would be a big headache. But again, I don't know. That's kind of the problem. Cancelo gets the least rotation of the fullbacks and got rested versus West Ham, so I'm picking him. Yeah, you make a good point. Southampton actually got very good stats. If you take the away goals against, the underlying stats are good. With better fixtures, they will rise again. Yeah, potentially. Potentially, that is going to be the case. I think a lot of people in Andy's chat are trying to convince him to get KDB, so I'm kind of monitoring that at the moment. But yeah, less than a minute up on the screen for the deadline. Who does Leeds have in the last round? West Brom, I think. Fernandez first bench. Risky. But yeah. You know what? We need the rank boost. Let's do it. I'm going to vice captain Kane, though. Just to be sure. Just to be sure. Because obviously if their games get cancelled, then yeah. Just in case. I was convinced me. Let's do it. Why not? Also, Luke, who triple captain Bale, was he was one of the people that that does like wonky captains, and he says he was going to go for Cancelo. So let's go for a wonky captain. Let's see if we can get that rank rise. I mean, if Gundogan does good, then we just have to hope that his effective ownership isn't over 100%. Which definitely could be. But obviously we have De Bruyne to mitigate some of that as well. But yeah. 2 clean sheets, 1 goal, 1 assist, and some bonus points. How many points are you from the top 100k? I don't know, actually. Oh, and he did end up going De Bruyne captain. He did. Well, I have the same 3 as Andy. I just captain Cancelo, so we'll see. That's what he went with. As long as Sterling will score 4 to 5 goals, I'm happy. Yeah. Deadline now. Yep, it definitely is. I should have taken a screenshot of my team. I always forget to do this, so I'm going to have to wait to post it on Twitter. But yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, if United score, then there's a chance for them. So obviously I hope that happens. But if United don't score, and I think how the game is going to go, then Cancelo keeps a clean sheet, right? So is what it is. And then if he gets the Southampton fixture, then we'll be golden, hopefully. But yeah, definitely a very risky pick. Obviously, having De Bruyne as a differential in itself, so we'll take his points every day of the week, and it'll mitigate some of the things that Gundogan will do if he's over 100% effective ownership. But yeah, like I always says, we're at 800k. You know, we got to start taking some risks if we want to push ahead. So yeah, let's move over to the big screen. You could screenshot it from live FPL. Yeah, but I like doing it on the actual fantasy site. Just looks a little bit nicer. But yeah, that's going to do it for the FPL deadline stream. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for tuning in. No Villa Everton announcement. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be in 28 because they have no rush to do it. But that was another reason for me holding the transfer as well. So yeah, just to see if that were to happen. Since it's not, then I can go, okay, let's go into look for Gameweek 29 stuff. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Make sure to follow us on all the socials and all that good stuff. And yeah, we will be back probably on... I'm trying to think. So City play on what, Wednesday? City play on Wednesday? Man City play on Wednesday, so we'll probably be back on Wednesday for the preview stream, and then for the deadline stream on Thursday. Yeah, because I think the deadline's Friday. Yeah. So we're gonna have back-to-back stream days, Wednesday, Thursday. So that means I'm gonna have to do videos on Monday and Tuesday. Maybe one on Sunday. We'll see. But yeah, we'll be back for that as well. So make sure to give us a follow on all the socials as per normal. Thanks for watching, and until the next one, take care.